All right, welcome back to another episode of the Psychopedia podcast. I'm your co-host, Hank Sinatra, here with my insecure for no good reason co-host.
Investigators later. Now I feel even more insecure. Thanks for that.
Well, get over it. You have zero reason. You do a great job.
I might need therapy at this point. I can't get past my insecurities. I am getting past it. I'm living my life, but they're there.
Have you ever gone to therapy?
Never.
That is insane to me.
Never. I know. I'm starting to realize the error of my ways.
But you know what? I'll tell you something. I saw this video today that was like, destigmatizing mental health talk. Like, kind of has gone the wrong way for people. She goes, we diagnose ourselves. We use therapy speak not to reflect on our own lives, but to weaponize it and attack people with it. It's kind of true. It's kind of true. Here's what nobody told anybody when they said destigmatize mental health. Talk about it. Talk about your issues. Talk about your vulnerabilities. Get open. Get honest. You are going to have to do something about what you find. Awareness is great. Awareness is the first step.
Yep. But
if it's the last step, you're in for even more pain than when you were oblivious.
Yeah. So I need therapy. I get it.
No, you don't. I'm not saying you need therapy. I'm saying for the people out there who have made their whole personality, these people who have made their whole personality like an armchair therapist, do what you're doing. Great, you're great at identifying flaws in other people. How about your biggest flaw is identifying flaws in other people, maybe?
So they're identifying it, they're not helping.
No, and they're not helping themselves. But anyway, I digress.
No, but I think that's a good takeaway. I'm sorry. And we do need to move past this.
That ain't even the titty.
That ain't even the titty, but I hear you. I've identified things that I'm insecure about. And instead of joking about it and constantly talking about it, I should just address it.
You got to make change.
Yeah.
You got to actually change. That's the hard part.
And stick with it.
Right. Yeah, listen, life is not meant to be easy.
No.
Nobody's ever had an easy life since the beginning of time. You think you're going to be the first?
No, I'm not trying to have an easy life. I just don't want to hate myself.
And then you have to ask yourself, would you even want a problem-free life?
No, I wouldn't. Because I do truly believe that you need the dark to appreciate the light.
That's the road less traveled. M. Scott Peck, that's how he opens it. Life is difficult is the first line. 3 words, period. Life is difficult. Yeah. What you gonna do about it? Well, we're gonna do a podcast about it.
That's right.
Okay, so if this is your first time here, welcome. If this is your 100th and 450,000th episode you've listened to, welcome home.
Freak.
If you wouldn't mind doing us a favor and rating and reviewing and subscribing on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen, share it with a friend who needs, a little bit of dark humor with an incredible story.
Nailed it, yeah.
Fascinated by true crime psychology and what humans are capable of, and really what humans are capable of, speaking of me, because I bring it every episode.
Yes, you do. He has no insecurities.
But I never know what's going on. So I'm like, it's very exciting for me.
That's great. Yeah. I would be extremely uncomfortable sitting in your seat.
It's double Dutch the whole time. Yes, it is. And if you love us and you're not getting enough of what you need here, head on over to patreon.com/psychopediapod, where you get a lot more of what you already love. A lot of episodes over there. At this point, if you go over there and sign up for $5, $10 a month, it's going to take you months to get through all of that, if you listen incessantly.
Right. At this point, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to dig into there. So we'd love to have you over there. But if you want to stay here, that's fine with us too. We're just happy to have your ears.
Amen.
Ears. Why did I say it like that?
I don't know, but I've been saying hair like har.
Her?
Because it's from Captain Underpants, which is on Netflix, which is based on a series that my son reads.
Yep.
So now every single time we talk about hair, we say har.
Har.
If you watch Captain Underpants, you will know what I'm talking about.
Investigator Slater loves har in the drain.
Why'd you have to take it there?
Because that's what I do. I am going to read off a couple of Patreon names, if you don't mind, before we jump in, okay? So, some good ones.
There always are.
I know. Lesbian Cull Coven.
Sick.
That's the lesbian vampire
killer.
Sammy Kubiak, which is important to me because Kubiak was the last name of he wasn't a bully. He was kind of like the big dumb idiot in Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You remember that show?
Yes.
He used to go to school with a big brown paper bag that said lunch on it.
I can't believe you remember that show. Wow.
I was obsessed. I wore, I'm not going to lie, I wore buttoned all the way to the top, paisley shirts.
With your pants backwards?
Because of that guy.
You had many different identities, didn't you, Tank?
Avril LaVampire.
Isn't it Avril?
Avril LaVampire. Thank you. Sorry. Avril.
Yep.
Frankie says, relax your genitals. And my genitals say to Frankie, relax.
They are indeed relaxed.
Okay. Karen Gunter.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Fucking
like
sick
that.
name. Yvette Clark.
What's up, Yvette?
Just Alyssa.
Love it, Cher. What's up?
Yeah. Hitherto Noise.
Nice.
Boost Gumps.
Oh.
I know.
I dig it.
Yeah, subtle, but good. And then last but not least, the Bones Are Their Money.
The Bones Are Their Money?
Yeah, it's from I Think You Should Leave.
Oh, okay.
They pull their hair up, but not out.
All right.
Skeletons coming out of the ground, the bones are their money. Anyway, so let's dive into what is happening in your brain and in your laptop over there this week. I could not be more excited to hear about this case. I kind of know what it is, but I don't. You said I kind of know what it is because you've mentioned it maybe before, but it's clear as day, clear eyes, bright heart.
Full lungs, empty bladder, can't lose.
I have no idea what case we're doing.
Okay, you ready for it?
I am ready for it.
All right. What comes to mind when you think about black metal music? Face paint, black cloaks, aggression, hateful screaming lyrics, rage for mainstream society, etc. The truth is that most metal guys talk a big game about Satan, death, and destruction, but in reality, they're kindergarten teachers or accountants who play pickleball on the weekends and can't stand the sight of blood.
You're not lying.
I know.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie, for example. I realize he's more heavy metal than he is black metal, but the sentiment is the same. He sings about satanic orgies and 1,000 corpses, but actually hails from good old Massachusetts, once worked as an assistant on the kid-friendly Pee-wee's Playhouse, sips Perrier, and snacks on organic carrots. Because while Zombie's music screams death, destruction, fetishism, and seduction, and while he certainly has always remained creatively defiant, his ultimate act of rebellion is, apparently, being a vegan. Rob Zombie, who I love, by the way.
You do. We walk out to...
We do. Exactly. We walk out to Rob Zombie when we perform. Often says that horror and metal fans are the nicest people because they channel their aggression through art rather than real violence.
Absolutely.
But, ... What if the darkness wasn't just an act and art was only the beginning of that aggression? What if the obsession with death, chaos, and destruction wasn't just a stage persona, but an all-consuming way of life? Because while many heavy and black metalheads seem to trade their leather and spikes for gentler lifestyles when the show's over, some aren't just talking the devil talk. They're lacing up their combat boots and walking the devil walk in every corner of their existence.
Sick.
And this was certainly the case for a Norwegian black metal band called Mayhem, which formed just outside of Oslo, Norway in 1984 and has been hailed as the pioneer of the Norwegian black metal scene. Yet, their lasting infamy isn't rooted solely in the music they created or the genre that they really helped to shape. It's the unrelenting chaos, violence, and sheer nihilism they embodied on stage, off stage, and in every shadowy corner of their existence. We're talking true satanic worship, neo-Nazism, arson, cannibalism, suicide, and murder. As the name of the band forebodingly suggests, this story is absolute mayhem. Thank you, Tank.
I love mayhem as a word and as an idea.
This case is bananas.
She likes this case a lot.
I think it's absolutely fascinating.
It is. And that 80s, so like to be a pioneer of a genre so creepy and spooky, like that kind of music. I loved Sepultura growing up, Pantera, White Zombie, Deftones, seen all of them. Fantastic.
You saw Deftones?
They opened up for Pantera, like 1995.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was the first time somebody I didn't know thought I was jacked.
Of course, that's your takeaway.
I went with Chris Soria to go to the show.
Hey, Chris.
And he brought his friend Dan, who was from Northport, and he said, Dan tapped me on the shoulder and was like, bro, what the fuck is that guy?
Nice.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, shit.
Best moment of your life, one of them.
Up to that point, 15 years old, yeah.
Sure, it feels good.
But yeah, it it sounds like like black metal. Forget death metal. Death metal is unintelligible. You can't tell what's happening. Black metal makes me feel bad. I don't know how else to say it.
It's supposed to make you feel. And listen, we're talking about black metal today, obviously, because they pioneered the genre, especially, I mean, in Norway for sure.
Yeah.
It's designed to make you feel the way you felt.
Yeah.
Angry, aggressive.
Not angry, creeped out, but times 100.
Yeah, exactly. That was your experience. It's negativity.
Yes, it's dark.
Under the negativity umbrella, whatever your specific sentiments were.
It's dark. One might say it's black.
Darkness is a huge, huge component of black metal. All right, let's get into it. Now, there are a lot of different players with various Norwegian names and stage names. So to keep it tight, we're going to focus on 3 central characters / band members.
Okay.
Dead, Euronymous, and Varg Vikernes.
Varg Vikernes.
We'll dissect each of them, who they are, how their fates became entangled, and how life lived in darkness paved the way for horrific atrocities.
Okay.
The story of Mayhem begins in a small village on the outskirts of Oslo where 2 16-year-old rebels, guitarist Øystein Arseth, known as Euronymous, and bassist Jorn Stjøberd, known as Necro Butcher. Fuck you, I did my best.
You butchered that. Just kidding.
They crossed paths. Bonded by their shared disdain for societal norms and an obsession with the darkest fringes of heavy metal and slasher films, they embarked on a mission to create a band that would embody rebellion, chaos, and nihilism. Rejecting the glitter and theatricality of glam rock, Euronymous and Necro Butcher cultivated a sinister, creepy aesthetic designed to shock and provoke, a deliberate affront to the deeply conservative and Christian environment that surrounded them.
Mm-hmm.
The band's descent into darkness deepened when they were joined by Per Yngve Olin, a.k.a. Dead.
Descent into darkness deepened.
Yes.
You know you did that?
No. But alliteration, like it's in my soul.
It is.
So it comes out when it comes out.
Yeah.
So Dead was gifted, very gifted, honestly, but deeply troubled. He was a Swedish vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
Dead's haunting presence and menacing demeanor pushed Mayhem further into the shadows and elevated their message from mere rebellion to full-blown horror. Even in the extreme world of black metal, Dead stood apart as an anomaly. There was an eerie weight to him, a pervasive sense that he wasn't just playing a part, but embodying something far more authentically sinister. His behavior was so unnerving, so profoundly disturbing, that many later speculated that he actually suffered from Cotard syndrome, which is known as walking corpse syndrome, a very rare and nightmarish mental disorder in which individuals believe that they are dead, rotting, or utterly devoid of life. And for Dead, the notion that he was actually not alive was his inescapable truth.
Oof, that's tough.
It's very tough. His identity as a walking dead person really began in 1979 at the tender age of just 10, after he experienced a traumatic incident.
Oh.
His spleen ruptured, which led to internal bleeding that required immediate hospitalization. While Dead himself claimed that the injury was the result of an ice skating accident, his brother Anders later revealed in the Swedish metal book Blood, Fire, Death that the rupture was actually caused by a vicious beating at the hands of school bullies.
Oh my God.
But regardless of how it was caused, the injury itself was so severe that Dead was briefly declared clinically dead.
Oh.
An experience that imprinted upon his psyche and caused him to truly identify with being a corpse henceforth. Nice. As a teenager, Dead got really into heavy metal and rock music and closely followed bands like Black Sabbath, Kiss, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Venom, Metallica, and Bathory. When he decided...
Elizabeth?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I mean, that's actually the band's name.
After Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Wow.
When he decided to start creating his own metal music in 1986, Dead decided to reach out to Euronymous and Necro Butcher, whom he learned were in need of a new frontman vocalist. So, Dead sent them a demo tape of his throaty, guttural voice, along with which of the following things? Pop quiz.
Pop quizzy.
A, a vial of his blood. B, his ruptured spleen. C, a 74-page manifesto condemning the living world. D, a crucified mouse.
C.
No.
A.
No.
D.
Yes.
A crucified metal.
Yes. Needless to say, he got the job.
Yeah.
And the band's mayhem was complete, with the guys all living, breathing, and promoting the black metal way of life.
There's only one way. It's the lifestyle.
More than promoting it, Mayhem shaped the sound, philosophy, and entire aesthetic of Norwegian black metal. But really, no one did it more sincerely than Dead. First of all, he truly was talented and ranked number 48 out of 50 of the greatest metal frontmen of all time.
Really?
By Roadrunner Records, which is... Oh, you know it. Okay.
Well, Roadrunner was big in the Long Island hardcore scene and New York hardcore scene, yeah.
Just for those who may not know, it's an American record label, mainly dealing with heavy metal bands, and they're a subsidiary of Warner.
They signed VOD.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Vision of Disorder. The name of the album is Element. If you're even remotely interested in heavy music, it's a must listen.
Okay. But even more than his talent, Dead embodied black metal in every fiber of his being. He slept in a coffin, collected pamphlets from funeral homes and obituaries that he'd then pin onto his shirts, and wore World War I gas masks during performances. One of his lyrics was, quote, "Funerals get an orgasm from my soul." He dreamed about joining a coven in which human flesh was consumed, and he just absolutely never wavered from his black metal persona.
Well, he was dead.
Right. Before Mayhem would perform on stage, Dead would bury his clothing in the ground so that they could start to rot and develop that grave scent, which I named Parfum Putride.
Nice.
During one tour, Dead found a dead crow, kept it inside of a plastic bag, and smelled it before going onto stage so that he could sing with the stench of death in his nostrils.
Crotard? Crotard syndrome.
Oh, wow. Sorry, that went right over my head. Very good.
Just like a crow.
Very good. Dead also had an unusual fascination with a rare genetic metabolic disorder called porphyria, which affects the production of heme, which is an iron-containing molecule essential for hemoglobin. Symptoms can include abdominal pain, neurological issues, psychiatric disturbances, and photosensitivity, leading to white vampire-like skin.
And he had a fascination with that disease?
That's correct.
Okay.
Pop quiz.
All right. Love when they come back to back.
Which two people are speculated or believed to have suffered from porphyria?
Okay.
A, Vincent van Gogh and Kurt Cobain. B, Joan of Arc and Michael Jackson. C, Edgar Allan Poe and Amy Winehouse.
C.
No.
A.
Yes. Interesting, right?
Vincent van Gogh.
And Kurt Cobain.
And Kurt Cobain,
yep.
Yeah. That's sad. Kurt Cobain.
I know.
Sad.
Absolutely.
Vincent van Gogh is one that cut his ear off, right?
Yeah. Now, Dead didn't just have a fascination with death or write morbid, death-soaked lyrics for Mayhem. As I've said now multiple times, he was the living embodiment of death itself. Aside from presenting himself as and thinking himself to be a walking corpse, Dead pioneered the now iconic corpse paint by slathering his face in deathly whites and inky blacks to resemble a decayed body dragged up from a grave.
Instead of calling him the living embodiment, why don't we call him the dead embodiment?
How about the unliving embodiment?
Undead embodiment.
Undead, yes. We arrived.
Dead.
We arrived. Okay, I get it. But crucially, with Dead, he didn't just stop at appearances. Pop quiz again.
Yeah, he was about it.
He was about it, yeah. Okay. What shocking act did Dead perform on stage to amplify his morbid persona? A, wear a noose around his neck attached to an overhead rafter. B, slice open his arms. C, slaughter geese.
A?
No.
B?
Yes.
Slice his arms?
Yep.
So just to talk about New York hardcore again, Long Island hardcore, there was a band called Neglect where the singer, Brian Beal, used to do all of the above. Except for, not the geese, but he was like, he'd cut his face with razor blades, he'd cut his arms, he wore a noose every show.
Really? I made that up. That actually happens.
It's scary. Yeah, he was troubled.
On stage, Dead unleashed a horrifying spectacle of self-destruction and gore. I wrote something in my script later on, something like, for the gore whores, by slicing his arms open with razors and smashing Coke bottles mid-performance to have blood cascade down his pale skin.
Oof.
Apparently, his goal was to actually use a chainsaw on himself. Then, the climax of his brutal theatrics would come with the grotesque act, and this part really happened, of hurling severed pig heads into the audience, the nauseating stench of death permeating the air.
That was nauseating to you, huh?
Something happened there with my tongue. I couldn't get the word out.
You're doing the best with the tongue that you have.
Exactly. Shout out to Mandy, Tank's sister.
Mandy, my sister, sucking on Chinese meal, came up with a fucking sick one.
The second she said it, I ran over to Tank like you were my dad, and I had to tell you something, and I couldn't even wait for you to finish talking to whoever you were talking to. And I'm like, your sister just said the funniest thing. Mandy, I don't even think you realized. I don't even think I gave you credit in the moment. We were talking about how I mispronounce things, which I did during the show, admittedly, because it's what I do. And Mandy goes, you did the best you could with the tongue you have.
Yeah.
I mean,
real ones will know what that's in reference to.
In an interview with the underground fanzine Slayer, Dead revealed the sinister purpose behind this depravity of throwing pig heads out into the audience.
Oh my God, in the audience?
Mm-hmm.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It wasn't just shock value. It was a cleansing ritual meant to rid their shows of quote-unquote posers. Dead was quoted as saying, before we begin to play, there was a crowd of about 300. But in the second song, Necrolust, we began to throw around these pig heads. Only 50 were left, meaning 50 people. Yeah. Which is interesting because Dead was said to be a huge animal lover and was even part of the organization Nature and Youth Sweden.
Hey, people are complicated,
Duality.
Yeah.
Now, the band's crusade against posers wasn't just a passing fad or a dramatic stage act. It became the seed of an ideology that eventually spiraled into unchecked chaos and a devastating trail of death and destruction in its wake. Yeah, so he did that to weed out the posers because he figured that anybody who couldn't handle severed swine, I got super proud of myself.
Good.
Didn't belong there. He didn't want them there.
Very different than the caking thing, Steve Aoki.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Head me.
Yeah.
Pig head me.
I've told this story before, you know it, but I'm going to say it. I was 8 months pregnant and went and saw Steve Aoki in New York City. Literally thought I was going to go into labor with the bass.
Yeah.
It was a crazy ass feeling, but I asked him to cake my pregnant belly and he declined.
Yeah. Well, you're a maniac, so anybody would have declined.
Maybe. Now, the band's crusade against posers wasn't just a passing fad or a dramatic stage act. It became the seed of an ideology that eventually spiraled into unchecked chaos and a devastating trail of death and destruction in its wake.
They took gatekeeping to the max.
They did.
Do you know about my plight with the kid in high school?
No.
Do you remember him?
No.
Oh, God, that guy was such a pain in my ass.
Oh, my God. Yes, I do. You recently told me about him, right?
Yeah, because he wrote a rap about me.
Right. What the hell, man?
I don't know. You know what? It really bothered me in high school because he was just adamant about the fact that I was not good enough to listen to VOD. It's like, bro, what are you doing with your life?
That's insane. And then years later, he winds up writing a rap about how much he can't stand you. Secretly, he loves you. I hope you know that.
Yeah, so I tried to give him a second chance after high school.
Yeah.
Because we were at the gym together and whatever. And then when my friend Mike Patrici died, I was on the phone with him. We were supposed to go see a movie. And I said, hey, man, I'm not going to be able to make it. My friend Mike died, Patrici. I don't know if you heard, whatever. And he goes, that's what you get when you have a fucking needle in your arm and a dick up your ass.
What?
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you.
Yeah, I was like, bro, I'm like, you're a fucking piece of shit.
That's horrible. You know, you learn a lot about people in these dark moments. I had plans with my friend in high school. I'll never forget this. And I witnessed a dog getting hit by a car on the expressway.
Oof.
It was, as you can imagine, devastating.
Yeah.
Came home, called her. I was like, I can't go out tonight. I saw this horrible thing. She was so mad at me, caused such a big thing. I was like, you know what? This friendship is over.
Yeah, done.
100%.
Thanks anyway.
Exactly. So anyway, I'm trying to paint a picture about Mayhem, right? And the devastating trail of death and destruction that they were constantly leaving behind.
Antagonists.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And this included the death by suicide of Dead himself.
You think he did that to freak people out?
We're going to get into it. But before we get into that horrific and very tragic incident, let's first learn about one of the other bandmates whose connection to Dead's suicide has left an undeniable stain on black metal history.
Mm.
And that character is Euronymous.
Euronymous. What did Euronymous mean?
Oh, I know what it means. In Greek mythology, it means the netherworld spirit of rotting corpses dwelling in the underworld.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Do you know what eponymous means?
Hippopotamus?
Eponymous.
Hippocampus? I'm sorry, just tell me.
EPONYMOUS. It's like when, like if Metallica came out with an album and called it Metallica.
So a name of an album that's based on the name of your band?
Like, so-and-so's eponymous debut. It's just like the name of their album is the name of their selves.
Are you on that vocab app again?
No, I've known that for a long time.
That's very impressive, Tank.
Thank you.
So Øystein Arseth, a.k.a. Euronymous, was born on March 22nd, 1968 in Oslo, Norway. As a child, Euronymous was a model student, health-conscious, academically gifted, and respectful towards his parents. But the seeds of megalomania, which began as a harmless need for attention, grew into something far darker as he entered adulthood. Euronymous became a central figure in the black metal scene and aligned himself with the extremist ideology of National Socialist Black Metal, or NSBM.
Okay.
This movement fused neo-Nazi imagery, European paganism, and Satanism with a fierce hatred for Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, all rooted in a racialist worldview. By the early 1990s, this hostility turned violent, culminating in a string of church burnings across Norway, some of which Euronymous and fellow Mayhem member Varg Vikernes, a.k.a. Count Grishnak, participated in.
A+ for getting through that.
Thank you. Portraying himself as a militant Satanist, Euronymous openly advocated for hatred, despair, and totalitarianism while criticizing organizations like the Church of Satan for being too soft.
Oh.
In interviews, Euronymous openly rejected individualism, compassion, peace, happiness, and enjoyment, instead claiming that his goal was to promote sorrow and evil.
So him being too hard, him being hard on the Church of Satan for being too soft, it just occurred to me that is the same as people who are hard on the Christian church for not being hateful enough.
Yes.
There's people who are like, nah, this priest said that like homosexual people are allowed in the church. Like, that's not, I got to leave this church. It's not okay with me.
Right.
It's like, dude, have you paid attention at all to anything?
So he was a shit starter in all facets of life.
I could see that.
He liked to threaten people and entire religions if they did not exactly align with his rigid, dark viewpoints and weren't willing to bend the knee to what black metal stood for.
This is Varg.
No, this is Euronymous.
Euronymous, okay.
He didn't just play black metal, he lived it and was a militant, misanthropic devil worshiper. And unsurprisingly, a violent one at that. His reputation was built on a mix of hatred, intimidation, and outright brutality. One infamous story claims that Euronymous lit a cross on fire in a bandmate's backyard, only to escalate things further by hurling rocks through his windows while threatening to kill him. He was also accused of lacing a man's food with lead out of pure malice. The most documented act of violence until the ultimate act of violence came when he attacked two people with a broken bottle over something as trivial as one of them glancing at his girlfriend at a bus stop. The assault left one man needing 38 stitches, earning Euronymous a 4-month prison sentence.
Good.
Yep. These incidents obviously paint a picture of a man whose hatred wasn't just theatrical, it was dangerously real.
Yeah.
Let's now bring together the two characters that we've discussed so far, Dead and Euronymous. Now, Euronymous thought that Dead was brilliant and both admired and envied his frontman. That said, the two did not get along. Even after all the members of Mayhem decided to move into a house together in the woods in Krokstad in 1990, a house that belonged to the parents of Euronymous' former classmate.
Oh, wow. Moving in together had a straining effect on their relationship.
It didn't save them.
Two psychopaths living together.
Exactly. More than two. It was like all the members of Mayhem moved in together. Even though the house was awesome, and the goal had been for Mayhem to focus on writing and recording new music for their upcoming album De Mysteris Dam Satanas or something, meaning the mysteries of Lord Satan, this is where and when the band hit a turning point and relationships amongst the members went south, especially the friendship if you want to call it that, between Dead and Euronymous. Mayhem's bassist, Necro Butcher, said that after living together for a while, Dead and Euronymous got on each other's nerves a lot and weren't really friends anymore. Dead's mental state worsened, and the already depressed young man retreated further into isolation as he grappled with a dark and tormented mindset 24/7.
What language was that album in, do you know? It sounds not like Norwegian. I'm sitting here the whole time picturing these guys speaking English. They're probably speaking Norwegian.
So that is actually a phrase in Latin.
Yes, I knew it was Latin-based.
Oh. So I
didn't know if it was Italian or French or
I see.
But I knew it wasn't Norwegian, but then I started thinking about how the fact that these guys are probably over there like, but talking about the devil and shit. Goethe.
Not that you're making fun of the language. That's just how it sounds to a non-native speaking dude from New York. So apparently Dead only came out of his room when Euronymous was gone or when there was food. That is, until Dead decided to begin starving himself in an effort to gain quote-unquote starving wounds on his body. Mm-hmm. I also read to see your ribs and to start to look unwell.
Is that starving wounds?
Well, that's what he's referred to them as.
Probably mistranslated from Norwegian to English, but
perhaps. I also read that one of the consequences of Cotard syndrome is self-starvation because of the negation of the existence of self.
Yeah. Sure, there's tons of problems.
Yeah, for sure. And it was at this dark juncture that Euronymous began urging Dead to take his own life.
Euronymous began urging him to take his own life.
Yep. Day by day, Euronymous tormented Dead, pushing him further and further into the abyss, as if testing how much pain and despair Dead could endure before breaking completely. Mm-hmm. And then, on April 8th, 1991, that breaking point came. While the rest of the band was out of town visiting family for Easter, Dead took his own life in a very shocking, horrific manner. Mm. First, he slit his wrists and cut his own throat with a knife.
Ooh.
Then he shot himself in the head with a shotgun.
What?
He was just 22 years old.
Yeah, I was doing the math while you were talking about this. Born in 1968, started in 1984. Like, these guys were young.
So young.
Wait, he slit his own throat, cut his arms.
His wrists.
And then still had the energy/rage enough to get a shotgun, right?
Yes.
Shotgun's big.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
Before ending his life, Dead penned the following suicide note. I know you're upset, but I think I'm going to give it to you to read because I typically do this in our cases when there's a note just to change the voice.
Excuse the blood, but I have slit my wrists and neck. It was the intention that I would die in the woods, that it would take a few days before I was possibly found. I belong in the woods and have always done so. No one will understand the reason for this anyway. To give some semblance of an explanation, I'm not a human. This is just a dream, and soon I will awake. It was too cold and the blood was coagulating all the time, plus my new knife is too dull. If I don't succeed dying to the knife, I will blow all the shit out of my skull. Yet, I do not know. I left all my lyrics by Let the Good Times Roll, plus the rest of the money. Whoever finds it gets the fucking thing. As the last salutation, may I present life eternal. Do whatever you want with the fucking thing.
Yeah. He's going through it.
Well, he's through it.
Yeah.
He's done.
Oh, I understand. But I'm just saying you really see it in that note. God. He was like.
Having Cotard syndrome, which I have never heard of before, is now my biggest fear.
Oh, I've planted the seed.
Yeah. Thinking you're dead while you're actually not.
Right.
It's like when I was vaping and I went to Las Vegas, like, well, it's a cigarette. I'm just going to smoke cigarettes. It's like such a small step to actually do the thing.
Yeah.
And this one is obviously way the ultimate permanence.
Absolutely. It's wild too how he had that near-death experience when he was only 10, but it imprinted and he sort of felt like he never came back.
Well, 10's a very tough age.
Yes, it is.
For anything to happen.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. It's going to sound dark and morbid, but if you had to place yourself in time and figure out where it all went wrong, so to speak, what age are you?
I'm kicking it with my woo mate.
No, really. Like,
really?
What age?
College was very bad for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Most people, it's like 8 or 9.
Yeah. College, I mean, I have moments that stand out as life-changing, profound, and horrific.
You start to realize, like, life is real. You're an actual person. This shit is going to be hard. It's long.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
When I lost my dog as a child, that was the first time I thought of suicide as an out. Because I thought, well, I can always join him.
Yeah.
If the pain doesn't go away, there's a solution. But that was young. That was 10.
8, 9, 10, something like that. It's like shit gets real.
Yes, it does.
Which sounds funny because you're so young, but hey, you're not going to be young forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you start to get a hint of that around that time.
The loss of Dad's young life, the extinguishing of his raw creativity, and the unfulfilled potential he carried as a musician, had he not been consumed by isolation and despair, was so incredibly tragic. Mm-hmm. Though not everyone saw it that way, because listen to this shit.
Oh, now what I know about this case is making a lot more sense.
The day after Dad's death, Euronymous discovered Dad's absolutely mutilated body because it was in their shared house that this happened. And what did he do upon making this gruesome, tragic discovery? Euronymous went to a nearby shop, bought a disposable camera, and photographed his dead friend after posing him next to the shotgun and knife. He then collected fragments of Dead's shattered skull, fashioned them into necklaces, and later sent them to other bands as macabre souvenirs. But perhaps the most disrespectful and disgusting act of all was using the photo of Dead's lifeless, bloody, disfigured corpse as the cover art for Mayhem's 1995 bootleg live album, Dawn of the Black Hearts. According to metal music historian Dial Peterson, this is perhaps the most bootlegged black metal release of all time.
Yeah, so that is, I thought he was just doing it for a dark black metal goof, doing it for satanic fun or
just
whatever.
To be like, look how dark I am.
But he was encouraging him to kill himself. He hated him.
He was encouraging him to kill himself, and he was essentially celebrating in it. And you're going to hear capitalizing off of it.
But you know what? I'm trying to think, like, there's 1 or 2 off the top of my head. Vulgar Display of Power. There's a guy getting punched in the face on the cover. Rage Against the Machine. The guy is self-immolating. Like, it's not unheard of, or maybe it was, were the first to do it, and then people started doing it after that.
To me, is a different category than...
The guy setting himself on fire?
He did it publicly.
Yeah.
Right? It's in the same vein.
They're both bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was, I don't know. It feels different, and I'm not even sure why, or that I can articulate why, but it just feels differently to me.
Because of the motivation that Euronymous had.
Intention.
Yeah.
Exactly. After the authorities took Dead's body out of the house, Euronymous called Necro Butcher to tell him the news. Necro Butcher has indicated that Euronymous seemed unfazed and even happy about their friend's death.
Yeah.
Euronymous gleefully told him about the pictures he'd taken and the necklaces that he made, and even stated that he'd made a stew out of Dead's brain that he ate.
Oh, this guy's fucked up.
Yeah. The other band members were also disgusted at Euronymous' actions before and after Dead's suicide, causing them to go on a brief hiatus.
So there was some humanity left in the band.
Yes. Because like I said in the intro, I think most people are performers. And it's not that they don't love what they're singing about or maybe believe in it, but at the end of the day, they go home to their nice cushy homes, they take off their face paint, and they live normal lives.
Well, look at you.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a very dark streak.
Right.
But it only works because I think you balance it out otherwise.
Right. Real darkness, seeing people injured, hurt, killed in reality is devastating to me.
Yeah.
Euronymous used Dead's suicide to ignite a more extreme era of black metal, claiming that Dead killed himself because the genre was becoming a trend.
Oh my God.
As rumors surrounding the suicide spread, black metal gained momentum. Exactly what Euronymous had hoped for. By labeling others as posers and saying, "You can't have this," he sparked increased interest and demand for the genre. In the summer of 1991, Euronymous opened his record store, Helveti, meaning hell in Norwegian, with the goal of funding a new album as well as his label, Death Like Silence. It's since been renamed Nosebleed or Nesblad Records. Euronymous quickly rose to become the leader of the Norwegian black metal scene, and Helveti's basement became the meeting ground for a group of influential figures known as the Black Circle. The store played a very pivotal role in introducing Norwegian black metal to the world. One of the most notorious figures in Euronymous' basement cult was somebody who I mentioned would be the third character, if you will, that we were going to talk about today, which is Varg Vikernes, a.k.a. Count Grishnak.
Varg. W.
Exactly. He was the founder and sole member of the black metal band Burzum, and he is the third main character of this disturbing case. Varg was a textbook extremist with beliefs that included Nazism and a brand of paganism called Odinism, or as some refer to it, heathenry. Captivated by Varg's vehement anti-Christian views and impressed by his musical talent, Euronymous saw him as the perfect addition to the Black Circle. Varg and Euronymous began collaborating on each other's music and quickly grew very close. At first, their intense personalities meshed well as they fueled each other's extreme and twisted ideologies, but this alliance would ultimately prove disastrous. It was like fire and fire, and their partnership became the spark for a chain of events that would send shockwaves throughout Norway, ones that are still felt to this day.
This gets worse?
It gets worse.
Oh my God.
On June 6th, 1992, the Fantoft Stave Church, one of Norway's oldest and most revered churches, burned to the ground. That church, sacred and culturally significant, had stood since the 12th century, and the loss was absolutely devastating. Wow. Initially, the fire seemed like an accident, but as more churches across Norway and Sweden went up in flames, it became clear that this was no accident or coincidence. By 1993, 7 churches had been torched, leaving the police, media, and citizens baffled and terrified. Amidst the chaos, the Black Circle's activities escalated. After the Fantoft fire, Varg admitted to Euronymous and a few others that he was the one who set it alight. Euronymous, thrilled by the act, had jokingly discussed church burnings with Varg before, but he never expected his friend to actually take it that far.
Take it that far.
Nice. For Varg, the exhilaration was addictive, and he quickly set fire to even more churches.
Wait, so Euronymous is not involved. He's mentioning it, again, encouraging somebody to do something bad.
Yeah, he's a shit starter.
And you did say that in the beginning. I want to hear about Euronymous getting in trouble, though.
Okay, we're approaching it.
Okay, good.
The country, once peaceful, was now plagued by a wave of arson, and it is wildly believed that Varg and the members of the Black Circle were behind all of it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The media coverage was widespread, but only those within the circle knew the true culprits behind these acts of terror. Pop quiz.
Yeah.
Hot shot.
Varg Nixon.
Which statement is true? A, before becoming infamous, Varg Vikernes
just power through it.
Auditioned to play bass for Metallica, but was rejected for being too intense.
Okay.
B, Varg's 1993 album featured an image of the Fantoft Church burning as its cover, and the first 1,000 copies sold came equipped with lighters. C, Varg tried to recruit an actual demon named Balthazar into the Black Circle, but abandoned the idea after it proved to lack rhythm.
Metallica album, Balthazar. Demon. Rhythmless demon.
Rhythmless demon. Shout out to the future Patreon name.
Balthazar sounds like he should have some moves, too. It's like, you can't dance, bro? You're a demon with zero rhythm?
You call yourself a demon?
What a curse. C.
No. I mean...
You're fucked. You are... Can you read that whole thing again? No, just C.
Varg tried to recruit an actual demon named Balthazar into the Black Circle, but abandoned the idea after I just did it at the library. I can't even believe how ridiculous.
That is incredible. Like, truly, honestly, if there was awards for sickness, you would sweep.
Oh, yeah.
You would sweep.
Can you make a paper plate award for me or something?
Sure.
You won't do it.
God. A.
No.
The other one.
Varg's 1993 album titled Ashk, which translates to ashes, featured an image of the church burning as its cover art, and the first 1,000 copies sold came equipped with lighters.
See, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
But when I heard C, I was like, not a chance.
I mean, a demon without rhythm? Can't be.
But abandon the idea when the demon was found to lack rhythm. Balthazar. Can't dance for shit. Unbelievable.
Beatless Balthazar.
Beatless Balthazar.
So Euronymous and Varg's friendship soured entirely as both men were infuriated by the other's response to all the media attention that they were now getting, as the media began to close in on the Black Circle for all the recent crimes, which at this point also included the murder of a gay man who was stabbed 37 times by a member of the Black Circle named Faust. Euronymous wanted to back away from the limelight, while Varg relished in it. So they're butting heads now. It was only a matter of time.
Varg and Euronymous are butting heads.
Yep.
Varg wanted to not be in the limelight?
No, he wanted to be in the limelight.
And Euronymous also?
Euronymous wanted to back away from the limelight.
Got it, okay.
Keep in mind, remember, Varg is the one who's actually lighting the fires, whereas Euronymous is, he's like the shit starter. But when the shit hits the fan, he hits the deck. Ooh. What the fuck? Where'd that come from?
What are you on about?
I don't know, but that was pretty decent. Additionally, it has been speculated that the two were having a financial dispute over a large sum of royalty payments. So, in the early hours of the morning of August 10th, 1993, Varg and another Black Circle member named Blackthorn showed up at Euronymous' apartment building, demanding that Euronymous let them in so that they could discuss his contract, all right? And after Euronymous let Varg inside, Varg suddenly brandished a knife and proceeded to viciously stab Euronymous repeatedly. As Euronymous stumbled out the front door, he sliced open his bare feet on broken glass from a knocked-over lamp.
Oh.
It's like...
I don't know why I think that's the worst
insult
part.
to injury, that's why. Making his way to a stairwell, 25-year-old Euronymous ultimately fell to the ground and died. This case is bonkers.
Yes, it is.
His body was discovered a few hours later with 23 stab wounds. And 9 days later, police arrested Varg Vikernes, who, in a rookie move, left a contract with his name on it in Euronymous' apartment, leading police right to him.
Oh my God, what an idiot.
I mean, yeah. In spite of the fact that Varg claimed to have killed Euronymous in an act of self-defense, he was arrested on August 19th, 1993. The police found 150 kilograms of explosives and 3,000 rounds of ammunition.
Kilograms?
KG?
No, for some reason I was thinking a small unit of measurement. How many kilograms of explosives?
150.
That's a lot.
It's insane. And 3,000 rounds of ammunition in his home at the time of his arrest. Ergo... Varg Vikernes wound up being convicted of murder, possession of illegal firearms and explosives, as well as 3 of the 7 church burnings.
Okay, so 150 kilograms of explosives is equal to 150 kilograms of TNT. What does that mean in real life? Capable of causing significant damage within a large radius, potentially destroying buildings, and causing severe injuries if detonated in a populated area. That is... To have that? And 3,000 rounds of ammo? Like, what was your plan here?
Well, keep that in your brain.
Okay.
That question and thought process.
It's already out.
I know it is. I'll help you.
I won't pull on the string.
Okay. So Varg received 21 years for his crimes, which is the maximum prison sentence in Norway. He only served 15 years and was released from prison in 2009, at which point he moved to France with his wife and 3 children.
Wife?
Okay, yep. Pop quiz.
Okay.
Which statement is true? I'm scared. A, Varg released 2 albums and 3 books from prison. B, in 2003, on a weekend release while serving at a low-security prison, Varg threatened a family with a pistol and hijacked their car. C, Varg was arrested in 2013 for suspicion of preparing a major terrorist act with his wife in France. D, Varg released a tabletop fantasy role-playing game in 2014. E, all of the above.
Fuck you.
Okay.
Then I got it.
All right.
It's not going to make it any better if you go over it again.
All right.
Like you just put like a cake on top of a cake or something.
Oh God. It came out my nose.
I wish I waited like a split second to say that.
No, it came out my nose.
C.
It's part of it.
E.
What the fuck? Yeah, E. E, man.
E for everything.
Exactly. He did all of that.
Wow.
Varg Vikernes has a unique and controversial backstory. I'm going to touch upon it, okay?
Okay.
Born Christian Vikernes on February 11th, 1973, a.k.a. Louis Cachet, a.k.a. Count Grishnak, a.k.a. Varg Vikernes. Okay. He spent a year in Baghdad, Iraq at age 6, where his father was reportedly developing a computer program for Saddam Hussein.
Whoa.
With no available spots in the local English school, Varg attended an Iraqi elementary school, an experience he later claimed made him aware of racial matters. He claims that it was there that he first recognized the privilege afforded to those of white ethnicity and higher economic status. Mm-hmm. However, rather than being angered by this disparity, Varg saw it as a tool, a means to gain power and control over those he viewed as belonging to quote-unquote lower societies. Mm. He discovered metal music at age 12, citing Iron Maiden as his biggest inspiration.
In Baghdad? Or he was out of there by then?
Exactly. He was out of there by then. By 14, he began playing guitar, and at 17, he joined his first band. During his adolescence, he became involved in neo-Nazi ideology and legally changed his name to Varg, which means wolf in Norwegian. Around this time, he also developed an obsession with Middle Earth, which would later influence his music and personal beliefs.
Why didn't you want to say J.R.R. Tolkien?
Because I couldn't pronounce it in my brain.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't want to make a fool of myself.
Well, I'm here for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're a team.
Yes, I should have just pointed at you and you would have just said it.
Okay.
As of March 2021, Varg and his wife Marie had 7 children together.
Wow.
Additionally, he has a daughter from a previous relationship, bringing his total number of children up to 8. According to Varg, a man must achieve glory to attract a good woman. And he fancies himself a man with all the answers, someone who sees the world clearly while others remain blind. In his mind, his actions, beliefs, and way of life are proof of his superiority, even as the rest of the world views him with controversy and condemnation. He's a classic narcissist, convinced of his own superiority, dismissive of opposing views, and incapable of admitting fault. Every action he takes, every word he speaks serves to reinforce the myth that he's built around himself, one where he is the visionary, the warrior, the misunderstood genius, while everyone else is either beneath him or out to get him.
Yep.
Signs of antisocial personality disorder are also evident in Varg's criminal history. His offenses obviously include the 1993 murder of Euronymous, as well as all those other counts I mentioned, arson, torching the churches. Right? In addressing his crimes, Varg has displayed both deceit and a lack of remorse, traits commonly associated with antisocial behavior. Varg's self-defense claim hints also at paranoid delusions rather than an immediate threat, because he didn't claim that Euronymous attacked him. He claimed that he discovered a plot that Euronymous had to torture and kill him. However, no evidence of this plan was ever found, suggesting that he either fabricated it or acted out of baseless paranoia. On his website, which is still up and running, He downplays the arson charges, insisting that they were tacked on unfairly since he was already serving the maximum sentence. He frames his conviction as personal persecution, not justice. This mindset, exactly. This mindset continues on his YouTube channel, which he has, where he promotes conspiracy theories. In one video, he claims the authorities are deceiving everyone, portraying the public as victims of a hidden elite. In another, he argues that different races are actually separate species, pushing the idea that interracial acceptance is a conspiracy to dilute the white race. Again, casting himself as a victim of an imaginary crime.
So he's not getting better.
No, he's not. We're coming towards the end of the case here. Mayhem is still around as well, with Necro Butcher being the only original band member to remain in the band, and has released 5 studio albums, 3 EPs, and various live concert recordings. As a band originally designed to only be for a select few black metal real ones, Mayhem has gone on to perform at the Norwegian Grammys and has even been inducted into the Rockheim Hall of Fame.
Wow. Mayhem... First of all, one of their names of their songs is Chainsaw Guts Fuck. But then I see the mysterious Dom the Satanis or whatever it is. 366,000 monthly listeners.
Wow. Yeah.
That's wild.
I mean, they were pioneers. It's just...
I want to check it out.
These stories are wild. Mayhem's story isn't just the tale of a band. It's the unraveling of a movement built on chaos, extremity, and the pursuit of something darker than music. From Dead's self-inflicted death to Euronymous' brutal murder, from burned churches to shattered ideals, what began as a rebellion against the mainstream became something far more disturbing, a descent into real violence, paranoia, and destruction. And yet, despite the carnage, despite the mythology forged in blood and fire, Mayhem clearly never truly died. The name persists, the music endures, and the legend, warped, exaggerated, and immortalized, continues to spread. But at what cost? If black metal was meant to be the ultimate rejection of everything false, then Mayhem became the ultimate contradiction, a band whose legacy is built as much on spectacle and infamy as it is on sound. They preached anti-commercialism, individualism, and true rebellion, yet their legacy became more about sensationalism than music. They wanted to reject mainstream culture, but in doing so, they created one of the most mythologized, media-fueled scenes in metal history. They denounced fame, but became infamous. They rejected societal norms, yet fell into their own dogma. They claimed to embrace darkness, yet were consumed by it. Whether they were visionaries, nihilists, or simply young men who got lost in their own illusions, one thing is certain. Mayhem was never just music. It was a warning. And if there's one lesson to take from their legacy, it's this. When you stare too long into the abyss, it doesn't just stare back, it swallows you whole. And that's the case.
Unbelievable. So glad we did that.
It's so crazy, this case.
Yeah, it is.
Everywhere you turn.
I know.
Every character you look at.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
And their place in the world.
Exactly.
Like, which you can't take away from them, but...
That's the thing, exactly.
Euronymous, I'm like, I want to find out if he gets in trouble. And you're like, hold on a second. He got stabbed 21 times.
Yeah.
That's some trouble.
Yeah, that is trouble.
Yeah. Well, he had to answer for his depravity. One way or another.
I guess that's how you look at it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he deserved to die.
No, exactly. You can't promote that.
But you can only live one way for so long.
Right.
Before you meet your match. You know?
Yeah, it's just so tragic. It's just so
It's horrible. Broken Boys.
Yep, exactly. That would have been a better band name, I feel like.
Broken Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the title of the episode.
Maybe. Bruised and Broken.
Bruised and Broken. Bruised and definitely broken.
Yeah. This was dark. Do you have a light Tank's titty for us?
Of course I do.
Incredible.
I got a light, bright Tank's titty.
Let's go.
So this is not... It's more of like, hey, just take it easy on yourself type of a thing.
Could use a little bit of that advice.
So I have this theory that if someone tells you that they are doing something and you should do it too, you have to assume they just started. So don't get like all bent out of shape about this person who's been doing this thing for 3 days and they're ranting and raving about it. As a matter of fact, the more enthusiastic they are about it, the less likely it is that it's become a practice in their lives. They're trying to bolster themselves by saying, I started doing ice baths. It's so good. You got to do it, dude. It's so good for you. It burns fat. It wakes you up. Cortisol. Okay, talk to me in 2 weeks.
Right.
And we'll see if you're still doing it.
It's so true.
Yeah. Just
like after the burn, you're going to have a burnout phase. Like this is the honeymoon phase.
Yeah. People have a honeymoon phase with activities.
Yeah, agreed.
And I don't listen to anybody who's still in the honeymoon phase. And with certain things, it's like always a honeymoon phase.
I know. It's so funny you say that because I actually very much feel like that, especially because I've been approached by so many different like women who are selling makeup products and whatever. And they're like, this is the best. This is the absolute, my skin has changed. I'm like, yeah, you're pumped about it now. And you're also part of this pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
And you want me in on it. And I get it. But catch me in 2 months when, you know what I mean? You're over it.
Yeah. Well, Steve Jobs said something really interesting about work and like how the only way to become successful is to do something you love because there will be so many challenges along the way. So if you find this makeup you love and you're, girl, do you want financial freedom? My skin is, well, we'll see what happens when you hit your first roadblock.
Right.
And you ask 8 people if they want to buy your makeup and they all say no, which by the way, 8 people is like, might as well not even have done anything. 8 people. There's people who are out there making 50 to 100 calls a day.
Exactly.
And what happens is you get in early and then you have to manipulate people on the way down to make money, to make any money, to make not even like, I'm not talking Lamborghini money. I'm talking like, I make $75,000 a year doing this.
Right.
99.9% of the people are not going to fall into that category.
Like you said, catch me when it gets tough. Talk to me about this when you've hit your first roadblock and let's see how pumped you are.
Exactly. And then maybe I'll try it.
Yeah. If you stand by it, maybe there is something to it.
Yeah, because I think what happens is people hear about these fads and trends and all these things that are going to change their life. And it's like, it's not. And you shouldn't feel bad about not jumping on every trend.
Agreed.
That goes by.
Agreed.
So not to giving you a pass to be a lazy,
No.
do nothing, but
also don't feel lazy for not doing that.
And go at your own pace.
Love it.
But go. Yes. All right.
Wonderful, Titty. Peruge, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. It was real and it was spectacular. And I just want to thank you again for doing all that work.
My pleasure.
Digging into the darkest crevices of humanity to bring us gold.
That dark.
Yeah.
But thank you and my pleasure. And I hope everybody enjoyed that.
Hey, dude, don't even start, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see you guys at the next episode.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.